I always thought the most terrifying thing a man could find under his own house was a gas leak. But my hands are still shaking as I write this from a highway motel. Because yesterday morning, I found a customized, soundproofed steel cage hidden behind the false wall of my own basement and the digital keypad. Lock was programmed with my exact date of birth. Hey Reddit, my life didn't just break. It completely disintegrated into absolute horror in less than 24 hours. If you are reading this, please listen carefully, because the person sleeping next to you right now might be building your worst nightmare while you dream. My name is Christian. For the last 5 years, everyone in a small, freezing town outside of Chicago knew me as a broken, low-wage overnight security guard at a local scrapyard. I made about $28,000 a year. I wore a faded, ripped uniform, drove a rusty 2008 Ford Focus with a dying transmission, and spent my winters shivering because our rented, damp duplex had a broken heating system we couldn't afford to fix. I was living in a brutal, exhausting financial gridlock. Every single day was a battle for survival. And then there was my wife, Evelyn. We met 5 years ago, and for the first 3 years, I thought she was my absolute soulmate. But as the bills piled up, her love turned into a chilling, toxic resentment. Evelyn hated our life. She constantly reminded me of my absolute failure as a man. She hated that she had to buy groceries with coupons. She hated our cramped, leaking kitchen, and she constantly compared me to her older sister's husband, who was a wealthy corporate executive flying to Hawaii every summer. I felt like a pathetic failure, honestly. I loved her with everything I had, so I tolerated the psychological traps, the verbal abuse, and the constant humiliation. I started taking double shifts, working 16 hours straight in the freezing cold, skipping my own lunches, and giving every single dollar to Evelyn so she could buy the clothes she wanted. I was physically exhausted, mentally drained, and suffocating under the weight of my own devotion. But 11 months ago, the atmosphere in our suffocating home suddenly shifted. Evelyn stopped complaining about the broken heater. In fact, she stopped looking at my face altogether. That's when the unexplained absences started. Evelyn began telling me she had joined a late-night community charity group to help elderly people. But every time I returned home from my night shift at 6 a.m., the house was empty, and when she finally walked through the door at noon, she smelled of high-end, expensive French perfume, a brand that costs more than my entire monthly paycheck. Whenever I asked her about it, she would whisper a vague, rehearsed excuse, glancing away from my eyes with a cold, distant smile. A chilling shiver ran down my spine every single night when her phone buzzed with heavily encrypted notifications in the dark. She started keeping her phone face down. Protected by a biometric thumbprint lock I was strictly forbidden from touching. I tried to convince myself I was just being paranoid. Trust is everything when you have nothing else left, right? But deep down, the air in our duplex became unbreathable. Then came the first fatal clue. It was a freezing, rainy Thursday afternoon. Evelyn was supposedly at a regional charity meeting 2 towns away. I was in the basement trying to patch up a leaking pipe near the water heater. As I pushed my hand deep into the dark gap behind the drywall to check the main valve, my fingers brushed against something cold, heavy, and metallic. It wasn't a pipe. It was a hidden door hinge. My heart hammered against my ribs as I pulled back the loose insulation. There was a false wall. Behind it lay a tiny, hidden room, a customized, soundproof steel cage built directly into the concrete foundation. On the heavy steel door was a glowing digital keypad. With shaking fingers, I typed in the only combination I could think of. My own birthday, July 12th, 1995. The heavy steel door clicked open. Inside that pitch-black cage, there was nothing but a single wooden chair, a set of heavy industrial zip ties, and a high-frequency audio baby monitor plugged into the wall, streaming the live audio from our bedroom upstairs. Why was my wife building a soundproof prison under our house? What was she planning? Was she monitoring my every breath? Instead of screaming or confronting her, I forced myself to stay calm. I closed the secret door exactly as it was. I walked out into the freezing rain, went to a public public library and logged into our old, forgotten home security camera account from a public computer. Evelyn had forgotten that the old backup camera over our garage was still linked to my laptop cloud. That's when I saw the synced video files and audio logs from the bedroom. They were from a man named Thomas, the very landlord who owned our rented duplex, a wealthy, arrogant real estate tycoon in our town. The footage was explicit, cold-blooded, and completely heartbreaking. But it was one specific audio conversation near our bedroom mirror that made my blood run completely cold. I played it through my headphones, and Thomas's wealthy, mocking voice echoed in my ears. Is the pathetic security guard still freezing at the scrapyard? And my wife Evelyn Sharp. Cruel laughter followed. Yes, he's working a triple shift tonight to pay your rent, Thomas. He has no idea that the moment his 5-year wedding anniversary passes next week, I'm signing the conservatorship papers. The secret basement cage is ready. We'll declare him mentally unfit, lock him away, and use his life, insurance, and his grandmother's hidden inheritance to fund our villa in Miami. He's just a broke loser cleaning up our mess. My entire reality shattered into a million pieces. She wasn't just cheating on me. She was planning to literally destroy my freedom, use my misery as a joke, and lock me away in my own home to steal everything from me. But as I sat there in that dim library, staring at the glowing screen, a cold, dark smile crept across my face, because Evelyn and Thomas had absolutely no idea who they were actually messing with. They thought they were robbing a pathetic, broke beggar of his dignity. They didn't know the forbidden truth about my real identity. You see, everyone in this town knows me as Christian, the broke security guard, but my legal, ancestral name is Christian Vance Montgomery IV. Yes, that Montgomery family. My grandfather was the founder of Montgomery Global Infrastructure, one of the most powerful private equity firms on the East Coast. When he passed away 5 years ago, he left me a sole trust fund inheritance worth approximately $1.5 billion. But my grandfather was a deeply cynical man who had been ruined by gold diggers in his youth. His will contained one strict, unbreakable condition. I could not inherit, touch, or reveal a single cent of that wealth until my 31st birthday, or until I had completed 5 consecutive years of marriage to a woman who loved me, purely for my soul, completely unaware of my billionaire status. He wanted me to experience real, raw humanity before handing over an empire. Our 5th wedding anniversary and my 31st birthday was exactly 48 hours away. For 5 long years, I lived like a beggar. I froze in the snow, wore boots with holes in them, and starved myself to test the woman I thought was my soulmate. I had already planned the grand reveal for our anniversary. I had already purchased a private $20 million estate in Malibu, hired private staff, and drafted documents to transfer $100 million directly into Evelyn's personal account as a reward for her loyalty. But she couldn't hold on for 2 more days. She chose a flashy, local landlord and a steel cage over a man she thought was broke. The financial gridlock I had pretended to live in was about to end with a brutal, legal vengeance. I didn't rush home. I didn't scream. I used a private burner phone to contact my family's elite, multi-million-dollar corporate law firm downtown. I handed over every single video file, the blueprints of the secret basement cage, and the undeniable proof of marital fraud, attempted kidnapping, and infidelity. Because Illinois has strict laws regarding marital fraud and criminal intent, her actions ensured she would leave with absolutely zero alimony and face federal criminal charges. On the morning of our 5th anniversary, my 31st birthday, Evelyn was standing in the kitchen, packing her bags, pretending she was going to a charity breakfast. She didn't even look at me. Evelyn, wait, I said calmly, sitting on our worn-out plastic kitchen chair. I know about the hidden steel cage in the basement, and I know about Thomas. She froze. The color instantly drained from her face. She dropped her designer purse, her hands trembling violently. She tried to stammer a desperate lie. Christian, it's not what it looks like. Thomas was just helping us with the rent discount. You never provide enough for us. I was doing it for our future. I know, I replied, my voice dangerously quiet. You wanted a man with real power, right? You wanted luxury. Right at that exact second, The front door of our duplex was completely kicked open by 4 tall men in tailored charcoal suits, my family's private executive protection team. Behind them walked my primary estate trustee, holding a sleek carbon fiber briefcase, accompanied by 2 local police detectives. They stepped into the messy, cramped room. The trustee bowed deeply to me and said, "Happy 31st birthday, Mr. Montgomery. The ancestral trust restrictions have officially expired as of 9 a.m. today. Your accounts are fully active. The board awaits your command." Evelyn's eyes went completely wide. "Mr. Montgomery? Trust? What is this joke?" My lawyer stepped forward, pulled out a certified, stamped document from the Federal Reserve, and laid it on our greasy kitchen table. The liquid balance on the top sheet read, $1,512,980,000. "Evelyn," I said, my voice sending a chilling echo through the freezing room. "Meet my real self. I am a billionaire. This entire broke life was a test. Today was the day I was going to hand you the keys to a $20 million estate. Instead, these detectives are here for the illegal, unpermitted soundproofed cage you built downstairs with your lover." She stared at the numbers, then at the police, then at me. She literally dropped to her knees on the dirty floor, sobbing, grabbing my worn-out boots, screaming that she made a mistake, that she loved me, that Thomas had forced and manipulated her into doing it. "It's too late," I said, pulling my foot away. My lawyer handed her the immediate eviction papers, the divorce lawsuit, and the police detective stepped forward, clicking handcuffs onto her trembling wrists for conspiracy to commit kidnapping and fraud. That was 3 days ago. I moved into a heavily guarded, luxury penthouse suite in the heart of the city. Evelyn is currently sitting in a county jail, unable to afford the $1 million bail because Thomas dumped her legal defense the second he realized he was facing a multi-billion-dollar legal empire. Thomas's real estate company is currently being forced into bankruptcy by my hedge fund lawyers. It felt like a perfect, clean, and devastating victory. The parasite was out of my life, and I was finally free. But last night, something happened that completely destroyed my peace of mind and proved that the danger never really ended. My private security team officially did a full forensic sweep of the hidden basement cage back at the duplex. They wanted to see who had actually wired the digital keypad lock. When the technical report flashed on my screen, my blood ran completely cold. Evelyn and Thomas had only hired a local contractor to build that steel cage 3 months ago. But the encrypted digital log inside the keypad chip showed it had been registered, active, and broadcasting data to an unknown external server for 5 consecutive years. Long before Evelyn and Thomas ever started their affair. Long before I ever rented that duplex. Evelyn didn't choose that duplex by accident. Someone else had purchased that property, built the foundation of that trap, and placed Evelyn in my path the exact day I walked out of my grandfather's funeral 5 years ago. Someone knew my real identity from the very beginning, and they weren't waiting for me to fail. They were managing the test. As I sat in my penthouse last night, staring at the report, my phone buzzed. It was an email from my grandfather's late attorney, who died 3 years ago. The email contained a single line. "You passed the test, Christian. The real empire is now yours. Step 2 begins tomorrow. There is no part 2, Reddit. The game is over, the bad guys are behind bars, and I have my wealth." But as I looked down at the city lights from my balcony, I finally realized the truth. I was never the one taking the test. I was just the prize. If this story sent shivers down your spine and showed you the power of true patience and revenge, please hit that like button right now. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss another deep dive story. Drop a comment below with your thoughts. Did Christian's grandfather plan everything from the start? Share this video with someone who loves a perfect twist. Thank you for your incredible support. See you in the next story.